So welcome to MindShifters Radio. Today is Monday, January the 19th, 2026. Welcome, Michael. Hello, Michael.
My phone got a little confusing there for a minute. But I'm here, so thank you, sweetheart, and welcome everybody. Delighted, honored that you're here, and looking forward to what unfolds today. We had an awesome session last night in the facilitated Codependence by four awesome ladies, two of who are with us, so maybe y'all would like to share the upshot of what happened yesterday. Maybe tell us a little bit about what happened and where you're at today and just where it's going.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hey there, yo. Sounds like Glenn's time.
I know.
So perfect after last night's intensity.
Yeah. It was, so just so you know, Andrea and Lindsay, they're having a meeting this morning. They're tuned in, listening to the show, but they may be predisposed with other stuff going on, but they are listening. So for those that weren't there, we did an opportunity to look at the responsibility communication. And of course, in the codependency, we've gone through the power person workbook, and now we're moved into responsible communication. And it really is a foundation to clear power person dynamics. And we noticed, so Andrea, just to give, the Coles Notes version, Andrea was working on responsible communication, wanting to do it with her daughter, and we had someone, Anita, resonate that for, which so taking on the characteristics of the daughter, and I got to facilitate that. And then it turned into more of a family constellation in which I got to play Andrea's mother and then take the great mother role. So because in Andrea's system, family system, there's been ongoing patterns where the responsibility for parenting was inverted, and everybody that was there, Anita was there, I was there, also Lindsay was there, and Andrea was there, and all of us took the role, often feeling that we were responsible for our parents. So I'm sure people on the codependency felt that. So energetically, we moved a lot of energy. So seeing the confusion, what it would have been for a little person to have to take on and feel responsible for the mother who was not had capacity or resourced to be the mother. And so what that felt like energetically. So we cleaned so much. And then, so that was really profound. And then we met after, and we did a lot of processing of what happened for all of us and what was up. And a really big pattern that came up around hopelessness and helplessness. And I haven't faced mine yet, but I realized it was up. And also my mother's hopelessness and helplessness, and I'm sure Lindsay's mother's hopelessness and helplessness, and Andrea's mother and Anita's mother, where they felt powerless, hopeless, and helpless. So that was a really big deal. And Andrea texted me something this morning I wanted to bring forward today, and I want to thank you, Michael, because she put it in language, and I'm going to read, actually, I don't, what she said it in a message, so I'm going to just do my best to what she said. But the fact that you held the masculine space for us to go that deep, that's deep. I really want to acknowledge you for that, because holding that level of container, so in the role I was playing to claim the great mother for the ancestors, for all the ancestors in the bloodline that didn't have the capacity. And obviously Terry was on the call last night as well, or yesterday was there. So the masculine being able to hold the field in presence and just being a safe witness for that to occur. I just want to acknowledge you and Terry both for that.
Because... Well, let me add another piece there. Mm-hmm. And that is that I had the good fortune of having a pretty awesome mom that was really there.
Okay.
And so part of my holding the space last night, actually, when that really got intense, was literally me putting my hands around my phone, embracing all four of you, not only in my energy, but in my mother, calling my mother in to provide support for that. So it was a for me, a sweet opportunity to touch into her energy in a different way on another level. So,
Yeah, thank you. And it was so, and I could feel it was not only our story, this was for the collective where this pattern had been inversion and has been inverted. And what you said this morning, and then I went and watched it after the girls left. We did lots of processing. Then I went back and watched it again because I got to be, because I was playing a role and I was doing my part in facilitation of the class and playing the role. This time I got to just go and watch it as a witness. And then I felt it was my mother talking through me as me. And I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And I could see me being Andrea as a little person. I could see the little tiny person just in shock. And when I witnessed Andrea, so that would have been me as well. And I many Rolodex of memories where my mom really did not hold the responsibility as a parent. And I felt, oh, they're online, yay. Okay, I felt deeply responsible for how her feelings and deeply responsible for her behaviors. And many memories flooded in where she was not, and I would step in at a very young age. And even when they took the house away and she's on the, you know, we're on the gravel road, there we are, and she's collapsed and I'm there going over to her and consoling her at 4. So, and my sister has told me I was extremely protective of her, my mother. So it's a big deal. And then the next piece, which I can feel it right here in my sacred heart. This is, I don't know, facing the hopelessness and helplessness. That's going to be the next piece, which I can feel there was a lot of crying last night. So we'll see as this unfolds. My human does not want to go there. And yet I know this is needed for who I'm to become. So, yeah.
so breathing with you and knowing that you can bring your being in through your breath.
Yeah.
And embrace that human side and that human experience. Actually, that type of experience is a non-human experience. One of the excuses are culture dropping it. Well, after all, I'm only human. No, the fact is you are human. It's when we're not in that human space that the crazy stuff unfolds. And so I certainly breathe with you and join with you in holding the space to bring that presence in to your physiology and for each of the ladies that were there last night, and reaching it back to each of the mothers and recognizing the abuse, the tragedies, from what was said that they lived in. I mean, it's like the bona fide definition of tragedy. And being able to, how can we even fathom how battered and how shattered they felt? And so just holding the space for their wholeness to reassemble, for them to realize that none of those experiences, fortunately, can touch who we are as beings. And so just reaching that energy back through the generations, just filtering it back one generation at a time, one breath at a time.
And I loved what you said, because of course I exchanged with the group, the 5 of us at Michael there, how things unfolded after and watching the show. And Michael said the ACIM, there's no place upon the earth that is so holy as the place where an ancient hatred has become a present love. And that felt, when I went back and watched it, I could see the energy being cleared. I could viscerally feel that the roles were corrected, where the parent is responsible for the child, for all of us that were in the setting, and then also for anyone that watches it in the future. So it's timeless, that video. So I honor that, and for whatever reason, this is my role at the time, this moment, and I'm willing. It's uncomfortable, but here I am. So thank you so much for letting me share all that.
Are you familiar with what your mother's childhood was like?
Well, I can tell you, her mother and her didn't have a good relationship. Her mother was very harsh, and the war broke out when she was 13, and she was I think the youngest out of six. She had a identical twin sister. And and her mom and she ended up getting married, having my brother prior to the war being over. So she wasn't married when he was born, which, so you can imagine, that would have been a big deal. They didn't marry till after the war. So yeah, lots of undeservability, lots of unworthiness, and it's clear I can tell you what my mother's childhood was like based on who she married. My father, and he beat her in the first year of their relationship, and so it's just that pattern replication. So her whole unworthiness, and she stayed in a relationship that was horrific, and then she could not have the power. She watched her children be beat, sexually abused, and she didn't have the power to make a different choice. Or her power was, projected onto the outside of her and gave it. In that case, it was my father had it, and she didn't own it till she was put in a forced situation, of which her younger four children were going to be taken away to welfare social services, and then she pulled it together and then left my dad and did the best she could. Still lived in poverty, and welfare was involved, and welfare paid the rent, and she had to work to pay the bills. And then she codepended my brothers, which they never really, and my brothers did not be able to reach their potential. Suffered mental illness, all these, so
I know I have just one window into the German culture back then, and in the early days of my life, I was in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And I had a chef who was trained in Germany.
Yeah.
And just one piece of information that he shared with me, like, he was a pretty tough, harsh kind of guy. And he shared with me that he was a young man in chef school being trained. And the head chef wore sharp, long-toed, pointed boots. And whenever any of the chef trainees stepped out of line or didn't do something exactly as they were told, he would come up behind them with those boots and purposely aim for their rectums and kick them as hard as he could. That was part of their training. I mean, you think about that, and it's like, oh my God. So breathing through it with you, and with every generation that's been through that.
Yeah, it feels big. This next piece feels really big. I can feel resistance to want to go here, though. It's up in a big way. I don't want to face what's coming next, but I will.
Yeah, I know. I know you. I'm resistant. Okay, let's go for it.
I know.
Something I acknowledge about you.
I know. And thankfully, there's the space between God's here. Yes, this mind doesn't perceive, always that I'm in separation of God. But through this, it's just getting closer to the truth that I am home with God. So I will continue lifetimes old of this journey. And I don't want to do this piece, though. I'm just claiming that. I really don't want to do this next piece. I don't.
So can I support you in shifting the language and thinking on that?
Sure, you can.
I mean, first of all, you're going to.
Yeah, that's true.
So you might as well cut Satan out of the equation. Just go, okay, I can acknowledge the resistance, and I'm willing to let it go. It's like this. I mean,
I'm looking at the two soul family over there laughing at me, going, you're going to do it.
You can't not do it. We know you.
It's true. I know.
I mean, there are people we know who I don't want to do it, and they'll make every excuse they can not to, but you're going to do it. So
yes, I will do it. Yes.
So, and just know you go supported, holding a space.
Yeah, this is a big one for some reason. There, I can just feel this. Oh, it's so this. You know how I said what was it, a month ago? I said it's the worst yet. That I'm not good. This one is another layer that I'm like, I don't. But I'm willing, and yes, I have support of the team And I've also got Kauai to look forward to because that event is going to happen, and everything that's in the way for me to be my true self, this has to be
Gonna have to
cleaned.
move.
It
Yeah.
has to move, and I am willing. So the willingness takes over the resistance. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
breathing with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
And the truth is, until we get to higher levels of vitality, we can't access those deeper layers. They
Yeah.
tend to become more intense as time unfolds. And
Yeah.
of course, you have a greater strength with which to move them. So they tend to move faster, but they can be pretty intense.
Yeah. So thanks so much. And it looks like the girls are here. I didn't know. I thought they're going to be in meetings, but it's so nice to see
Yeah.
their faces, both of us. Okay. Hopefully they'll share.
And Michael asked me last night what was up for me when we were all, when I put my hand up and told Andrea that we were here for her. And it wasn't necessarily with my mother, but it was, I got married at 16, and it's like I was definitely not ready to handle the responsibility. And it was a abusive situation for 3 years. And I asked mom one time why she signed for me, because since I was just 16, she had to sign that, give me permission to get married. And she said that she was afraid of what I would do if she didn't.
Mm.
So, it's kind of mom's in there too, but that's
Yeah,
what
that right there says something so big that she was already in fear of you. The relationship was not righted in responsibility because a mature mother, a great mother, would have observed that and would have said and been willing to face the feedback of whatever would have come, knowing what was in the highest interest for you and your soul.
Yep.
Life without tools.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that share, Jeannie. And I could see my mom the same throughout. Oh, since I was little, I would hold my breath till I passed out to get my way. So it started at like 2. So she would just give in because oh my
Yeah.
God. And then I became the alpha in the relationship that she would then acquiesce to my needs and like that, or be demanding, and I carried that pattern, by the way. I still don't hold my breath, but I still force my position. Can see that in Alexander and Duncan for sure. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors.
It is, yeah.
Well, Andre, anything for you to share from last night? That was powerful willingness and just awesome what all 4 of you did.
Yeah, thank you. I got to sit with myself a lot this morning. Last night I was pretty tired and watched the video until I was falling asleep. Thank you, Jeannie, for getting it out right away. What I could feel in the field was that you felt the importance of getting it out to people right away, and I really honor and appreciate that. That was so valuable. Thank you.
You are more than welcome.
So, yeah, so much. It was interesting how the events happened because the day before I was facing some really big things. And to face them, I used Amanita. It's a mushroom that isn't it's not what do you call psilocybin? It's not anyways, what I actually believe is Amanita was in the chalices that are depicted all over the world and even the Bible, because Amanita, brewed the way I understand to brew it, connects you directly to your Christ consciousness and to the Great Mother. Or Ruka, she just flows through, and the wisdom is right there with the safety in your body because it calms your nervous system and allows the wounding, the mind energy to be present simultaneously with that deep love of the Great Mother in your body. And when I take it, it essentially kind of wipes out a lot of my logic brain the next day. And so interesting going into the whole day, I just couldn't get it together, which is what my mom used to always say to me, just get it together. And so I was fully in what felt like my child self. It had completely surfaced. And then Susan plays such a beautiful catalyst or activator of my mom having some traits or energies that are similar, and then stuff happening with my kids, and then coming into the group. Oh, I felt so vulnerable. Like that was being back as a child in the home where um, there wasn't safety, but this time I get a new experience of being safe. My dad was never there. And it was so like important to me, Michael, that you were there because what I could feel is my father showing up the way he probably would want to, but doesn't know how. Just being there and holding that container in presence, like I could just feel your pure presence for all of us women. You know, Jeannie was having stuff moving through and all of us in the room, and also Joan and Sally and people on the call, and Terry or TJ. And so and I know Terry was there holding the space too. So that was while we got to process what's been moving through our family systems. And the way that I was seeing it last night is that the divine feminine, the feminine has been waffling in these spaces, in these experiences where men are also very wounded and not able to hold the space. And so women often, in my experience, I'm holding the whole field. You know, the men aren't showing up to help me raise the kids. I raised my kids on my own, even with my previous partner who had 2 kids. So I'm raising 6 kids, and he's not there holding the space. And it's like this safe space that I got to be in, that emotion of being completely hopeless and helpless, you know, and experiencing this overload of my own emotions, my own pain. And I'm trying to show up responsibly for this responsible communication session, that I'm unable to show up and actually do the exercise. Just really being in that space of emotion. And then the dynamics that were happening, like Jeannie came on and said, "Oh, Andrea, you know, you're rocking." And I just tensed up and I was like, oh my God, here comes mom. I'm going to get criticized because I'm showing emotion, and I'm, you know, and then her response coming
Breathing
in.
with you. I'll invite you to notice that Ginny didn't say that to you.
Well, that's what I mean. Then this new experience where she's saying, I'm seeing you gathering safety through rocking.
I think she was actually saying that to Anita.
No.
No, I
No,
was saying
no.
it to Andrea,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my mistake. Excuse me.
and I recognize it because that's what I do.
Mm. Hmm. But it was so beautiful to have you say that and me go through that. Oh my God, here comes, I'm now being vulnerable. And in my power person dynamic, you don't do that, or you're going to get criticized and hurt. And to have that new experience and that deep childlike experience I was having. And then Anita whispering to Susan, immediately I was like, oh, here comes the criticism and then it doesn't, and it turns into these loving experiences. So through all of what I'm saying, is I'm really trying to express this picture of how deep I got to go into the hopeless and helpless. And I have a lot of protectors that have been there for me, different iterations of myself to keep me from feeling that because I wasn't ready to at the time, and to now be able to show up in those deep emotions in a community and being seen as hard for me to face all of that, how much got to heal. And I got to wake up this morning and like feel proud of myself and feel like to acknowledge the courage that it took for me to face that and be so deep in those feelings and be held in it is so transformative.
It was
Really.
awesome to watch. It was awesome to watch all four of you and the coherence in this space you held with, and how tuned in you were to each other. It was just a blessing for everybody that was part of it. So,
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Ryce, for holding the space. Thank you. And Terry,
got it 2000%.
I think he's gone now. Oh no, he is there. Yeah.
And I'd love to hear Lindsay's feedback too.
Uh, well, I had no idea what I was coming in for, if I'm going to be honest. Susan.
Thank God you listened to me and God said you had to be there. Oh, Susan says, okay, I'm going.
Oh, we got a new
Thank you,
game, Susan.
Lindsay.
Susan says.
Susan.
Your input last night was awesome, Lindsay.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
I love that about them because I'll say God says we have to do this. They say, okay, like Andrea puts up, okay, what do I have to do? They just follow along.
Susan will be like, put up your hand. And I'm like, okay, why?
Yeah, so I really did step in not having a hot clue what it was that we were doing. And so for me, just to be kind of the observer in it, I think Susan already alluded to this, but it really resonated with the relationship that I have with my mom as well. And um, so even though I wasn't the one in the hot seat, Andrea was very kind to take that on. It was very transformational of just even witnessing, because I go into the same thing of blame. And my daughter's 10 right now, and I can just see how much I keep desperately wanting that connection with her, and I can see us separating as well. So there's just a lot of mirroring where I can understand how my energy is putting that on, and I go into blame as well quite frequently, blame of other, blame of self. And so as a observer of it, it just really opened up a new window of perception for me to be able to move through this. And I'm excited to continue. Susan invited us back on Wednesday for the second part of that. So I'm excited to be involved in this and just really yeah, open up. And I think like because I was supposed to be there in November and I didn't come in November for the intensive, that a lot over the summer and the last few months, which I've talked to Andrea and Susan about, has really just shifted in my reality. And there seems to be just a much more openness and willingness to face things differently.
I think you were at the intensive.
I very much felt that. Thank you, Dr. Ryce.
You were at the intensive. Let me just be clear. You were there
Yeah.
energetically.
Yeah, so I'm really excited, and it that hopeless and helpless is something that I have faced in a very big way in the last little bit, especially my dad fell ill, and so Susan and Andrea really helped me through the last couple of weeks of facing some moments where we didn't know where the outcome with my dad was going to be. So even like meeting the reality of death. And I think that this is what we face every time that we face ourselves, is that ego death over and over and over. And in those moments, we're continually faced with that hopeless and helpless. And I can much more easily step into my woundedness with anger and that hyper independence. Like, that feels safer than to allow the hopeless and helpless to consume me, because in that hopeless and helpless, it truly feels like there's nothing that I can do for myself. And so to even just bridge this concept in such a healing, safe environment in something that truly feels so destabilizing, I'm really excited in a very bizarre way to see what the power can come from facing those moments, because I think ultimately we all fundamentally know that that's actually not the truth of it. That but the feelings and the sensations within the body, it truly feels like a hole that I feel like I can't dig my way out of, almost. So
Input,
yeah,
you can't dig your way out of it. I
yeah.
promise you. However, there's a power in you called breath that
Mm,
knows exactly how to dissolve every scintilla of it and leave you in a state of full connectedness.
thank
You know,
you.
sadly, there was a theft that happened centuries ago. If you go to the Aramaic language, the man Yeshua, who was not a theologian or a theological teacher, he was a physicist, a physiologist, a psychologist. And he knew exactly how healing occurred. And he gave instructions on how to use the source of human intelligence, which is the breath, bring it into physiology to clean it out of everything. And the Greeks came along, took that teaching, changed the words, and stole the breath from our own nostrils and turned that into a conversation about something about a ghost type thing that was something about a trinity and something disembodied, holy something, and created a whole conversation that took what was our gift of intelligence and breath and turned into a different story that then they owned and disappeared the real thing. Because, I mean, who thinks to take the breath to full depth if all, you know, what we've all been taught is, well, breath, you know, you get oxygen, and if you don't have enough oxygen, you die. But, you know, that's kind of it. But there's a whole, like 90% of the definition of the breath was lost when they changed those words. And so one of the objectives of this work is not to give it back to us because it was never gone, but to give us the understanding of what it is, like what we've got. And everything, you know, everything that they attributed to this thing that the Greeks called the Holy Spirit, you know, there were gifts and there was this, and it will teach you and it will do this and it will do that. But it was something that they told you a story about that belonged to them, and you had to comply to get it. And the whole objective of this work is to get you to, just to get everybody to recognize, excuse me, it's never left you, it's yours. Here's how you use it. Like, that which gives all of those gifts they talked about, it's already yours. It's in your own nostrils. Been there from the beginning. And it knows how to do it. So you're not on your own doing it. None of us are. It's the power to do it was a free gift given to us right from the beginning. So breathing with you and holding a space for all of that, which needs to be dissolved. And the dissolution of that kind of content is called forgiveness in Aramaic. They stole that one too. They turned it into, you know, I'm going to let you off the hook for what's happening inside of me. So people are running around, well, I forgave him. Like, stop. No, never forgive anybody for anything. learn to forgive continuously, but never forgive anybody for anything because you can't. It's a lie. It's another story that steals what the real truth was, and that is the ability to go inside ourselves with the breath and dissolve, remove all of those energetic dynamics that never belonged within a human energy system. So, joining you in that breath and reclaiming that gift for yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
Delighted, honored. It was a powerful, powerful session. It was just awesome last night.
I have a
Is Anita
question.
with you guys?
No.
No.
She's at work.
Okay.
She's at
Excuse
work.
me, Jeannie. Go ahead.
It's okay. I was just wondering if any of the ladies that participated last night, if your parents are still in their bodies.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see once you get through this, what changes happen between you and them too.
Months passed, but yeah, both. Yeah, just thank Lindsay and even Andrea. I know of work, like both of them were my clients before they became my beautiful soul sister, soul family. And I've watched Lindsay, the relationship with her mother since we started working together, like just profound. So I can't wait. And the dynamic of her whole family system. She just went on a shamanic journey with her father being ill. And she got stranded in Lake Louise. Well, not stranded, she got called there. And there's an etheric temple above Lake Louise, which Archangel Michael and his legions in the etheric realms. So she was held in the container, and huge transformation in her family. So I can't wait to see what happens as a result. And also with Andrea, as also outlined, with her mother, came to her house and took responsibility and said, I wish I would have kept you guys safe. Like to own that in her presence.
And she
Oh.
said it without weight.
Yeah.
She was just sitting there and she says, in the day when you just have wishes. And I was like, okay. She's like, I wish that I had kept you and your sister safe. And I was just like, wow, wild, beautiful. And because
What a gift.
months ago, she said to me, I was having these plumbing issues. And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry I didn't get a husband that would look after you." And I'm like, "That's not your responsibility, Mom." And then she goes, "No, actually, what I'm really sorry about is that you have two useless parents." And I was like, well, the resentful part of me isn't going to argue, but her coming to me in this different capacity now, without all the weight, she actually modeled to me sitting in front of my own kids, claiming something that, had not happened then, but how it had actually transformed in her words by just owning, in a responsible way of like, I wish I had kept you guys safe. That's
just
pretty big.
And it's
Would
interesting. Sorry, Michael. And when you I'll let you finish, Michael, because interesting. I'm sitting here with the Course in Miracles in front of me, and what we did last night. Guess what's up? Page 401. The whole what is forgiveness. I'd like to read
Cool.
that after you, if you're okay.
Sure. I was just going to quickly offer the thought that you've done the work and what she's doing is reflecting into you.
That's key.
You opened the gate. Mom's now able, having received it, Mom's now able to reflect it.
Wow, that feels relieving and validating. Yeah.
That happened with Jeannie and her mother too, right, Jeannie?
Yeah, it was in May or June of 2017. I did a women's intensive at the retreat center where we were, and Mom came, and she actually shared.
Everything
An orb
with you,
just went
sweetheart.
by. An orb just went by. Oh my gosh, there's an orb. Yeah.
Her dad died when she was 18 months, and Granny had to work. She had 3 kids, And she would often take Mom to the movie theater and ask they had, I guess, a guy that was like a usher or something to watch her until she got off work. And Mom shared how she would hide in the bathroom to avoid lecherous old guys. And I'd never heard that story. But she made some big moves during that intensive.
Wow. You're going to have to go back and watch this because the orbs flying like crazy. I think she's with you right now, for sure. Just breathing with you.
Another piece of that puzzle is that after Jeannie's mom passed, and we were going through her things, there were several pieces of writing where she recognized her inadequacy and was praying for relief from it, for help, but didn't get it till she started to do that work with Jeannie. That's like she just opened right into it.
For all the mothers. For all the mothers. And it's interesting because in the forgiveness, what is forgiveness? The Course in Miracles and the work that was done yesterday energetically in the group, it was, I don't even have words to what it's lifted for humanity. Forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. It does not pardon sins and make them real. It sees there was no sin. And in that view are all your sins forgiven. What is sin except a false idea about God's Son? Forgiveness merely sees its falsity, and therefore lets it go. What then is free to take its place is now the will of God. An unforgiving thought is one which makes a judgment that it will not raise to doubt, although it is not true. The mind is closed and will not be released. The thought protects projection, tightening its chains so that distortions are more veiled and more obscure, less easily accessible to doubt, and further kept from reason. What can come between a fixed projection and the aim that it has chosen as its wanted goal? An unforgiving thought does many things. In frantic action, it pursues its goal, twisting and overturning what it sees as interfering with its chosen path. Distortion is its purpose, and the means by which it would accomplish it as well. It sets about its furious attempts to smash reality without concern for anything that would appear to pose a contradiction to its point of view. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is still and quietly does nothing. It offends no aspect of reality, nor seeks to twist it into appearances it likes. It merely looks and waits and judges not. He who would not forgive must judge, for he must justify his failure to forgive. But he who would forgive himself must learn to welcome truth exactly as it is. Do nothing then, and let forgiveness show you what to do through him or through Ruka, who is your guide, your savior and protector, strong in hope and certain of your ultimate success. She has forgiven you already, for such is her function, given her by God. Now must you share her function and forgive whom she has saved, whose sinlessness she sees, and whom she honors as the daughter and son of God.
And she, in that passage, is the breath.
And just for what happened yesterday, and you touched on it when you in your text, Michael, being able, like all the energetic, incoherent energies that came up, like blame, we could see, right? The energy of blame was there when Andrea said she felt, blamed. When Anita was talking about facial expressions, and then the energy of over responsibility, and just so many. And we were able to hold this, just being in silent and letting those incoherent energies rise. and then allow them to be in the field, but not attached to them, and allow them to clear through. And for those that don't know, it was really, really dense energy initially, like so dense for us, holy cow. And then there was a moment when, actually it was when Lindsay spoke, and then she opened up a field that we could open something up, a portal where we could actually land in the truth. And then I could viscerally feel the entire room, the energy. It almost like it got pulled out of the room about by 40% energetically.
She's gone now. She said bye to everybody.
Yeah.
But what did she say? I was dissociated at that point and couldn't hear.
Yeah, you did go back and watch it, but it was around interacting with your daughter from a contextual language and like the spiritual, and then to be able to have dialogue with your daughter in a way that she could receive it as though what you would wanted to have heard as a little girl. And that your daughter, because when we come at it, and I can be guilty of this with my own child, because we have a framework and we also have brain cells built for this information. They don't have that. And so can we take our intellect, because you and I both are intellectual, to drop it down into feelings and what's up for the other person? Back to what Heidi Schleifer says, we park ourselves, walk across the bridge, enter their world. And I wanted to offer this to you. It came right out as soon as I woke up. If you wanted before Wednesday, I would like to play you, and you get to be Alex.
I would love that.
So if you want to come over, and we'll do that, so you have a template, just like I did.
You're going to leave us out?
Yeah, well, we could do that on Wednesday then. Okay.
That would be my highest wishes. Let's
Okay.
do it all with, so we've
Okay.
got a record of it, and everybody, like 10,000 years from now, we'll still have access to, that's how it's done, if it's still needed.
Okay. And
Which
you're
probably
okay
won't
with
be by
that?
then.
You're okay to do that on the call okay, perfect then, because that landed to set a template for you, and we did the template. You got to see your mother do it, but it's still it didn't lock in, I could see. Right? Like that because you're in the middle of your healing. So in order to take that and transition it now to turn it around and you be that for your daughter. So if you're willing, then I'll be you and you get to be Alex. Yeah, okay.
And what I notice is when I'm in deep feeling,
Yeah.
I dissociate from what's being said to me in
Yeah.
that depth of fear of criticism. Some parts I could hear Jeannie and some things from Anita and stuff, but anything that involves lots of language, I just eject. I'm gone. And the other thing is, because I never received language of somebody talking to me,
Yeah.
I actually don't have it. And so I'm very well versed in the spiritual realms, but in the grounded human aspect, this is why I take these courses on communication and such, because I don't have that grounded language yet.
Yeah. Great. When we'll definitely be. We got to see it demonstrated from your mother to you, and then we get to demonstrate it from you to this is gonna, I feel, yeah, oh my gosh, the higher beings right now, you know what they're doing? They're going they're just thrilled for this piece. So beautiful.
Carrie has her hand up.
Before we do that, I'd like to offer a mind shifter, Andrea, and I'm just putting it into the chat. So how about it's safe and beneficial for me to remain present and receive every word that is spoken to me. Like, you're now in safety. You don't have to be in hypervigilance, and you don't have to escape. You can just stay safe in this space. Does that make sense for you?
Yes, thank you. And if I can just take a moment to answer Susan, I didn't take a psychedelic for our class yesterday.
But maybe you want to let her know the difference between a psychedelic and psychotropic, because I believe the amanita is a psychotropic, right? And so
It's psychoactive.
psychoactive. Okay.
It's not a psychedelic. And I was just explaining that I took it the night before, a bigger dose. And because of the brain changes after the crash, when I take it now, the next day my brain is kind of offline. That's all I was expressing.
Still breathing with you. Anyone else anything to share? Oh, but Susan, you were going to go on to another thought.
No, I think Carrie's hand's up though. She had her hand up. I wasn't.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Carrie, welcome.
Hi there. So, Andrea, you're so brave. I am in awe of you. And when you said a moment ago that you don't have the language of what was it that you said? You don't have the real language or the
human grounded
the
language.
I was absolutely astounded because you do have that language. So you may not realize it, but in the first part of yesterday's thing, you were talking spiritual jargon to your daughter. And when you let your barriers down and started speaking from your heart, the spiritual jargon dropped away, things like the field and, all that kind of stuff. Because as a child, I wouldn't understand that. But then you went into human language, very human language, and I resonated so deeply with that. So perhaps you didn't hear yourself or you don't realize, but you do have that deeply human language. It's part of you. It's who you really are. The spiritual jargon part is just the spiritual ego stuff, It's really when you talk from your heart, it's deeply connecting. Deeply.
And it may be a power person dynamic that when you're under stress, you deny that in yourself, following that power person dynamic. So that might be a good place to engage with the power person process of releasing and letting go of that self-criticism. As I'll go along with Carrie in affirming, when I watched you at the intensive and such, how you stepped out, how you came forward, and what you came forward through. It was pretty awesome.
Thank you both. I appreciate that.
I say something.
Please.
I don't know what Carrie meant by Andrea's religious jargon, but you used one word that came from that jargon. It was something like the field or something. Can you explain a little more? Because I find that I have two brains on this show lately. There are words that I don't understand or experiences that I have no way of relating to, like Susan Flueck often speaks of having been present at the foot of the cross or some such thing, and that we were there together. And I think, why don't I know about that? And I feel as if maybe I'm losing my connection to this group because I don't know how to find my way to those sorts of things. Whereas I think Carrie was saying that Andrea had gotten into a language that was more accessible to maybe some of us who don't have the other language, and then her daughter could hear. Anyway, I'm also sort of yelling for help because I'm doing more listening these days, which is a very good thing. But I'm finding that Michael talks about it. Well, if you're going to go to engineering school, you have to get the brain cells. And I'm thinking, help, I don't know if I can keep up. My brain cells are struggling. So anybody who wants to say anything to that, I'd love it.
Well, sometimes we might get a little far out, and I'd invite you to just, just hold the string on the balloon for us.
That's easy enough to do.
And go back to the analogy of and I love what you just said, because to bring the information so this consciousness or the ears can hear it. Also, there's two, right? One is having the eyes to see and the ears to hear. That's why Jesus said spoken parables, because it meets everybody at their consciousness. And guess what? The part I want to say, there is no right or wrong. It's meeting ourselves to what we can perceive, and then stretching ourselves to build the brain cells to perceive more deeply. And you're not behind. You're not, this is interesting, that what's coming up for you right now, like you were saying, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm the group, and I'm this part you didn't say, but I'm just wondering if that you feel like you're being left behind, or that you can't keep up. I think you did use that word.
Both. Yep.
Okay, so left behind and keep up. So that's interesting that those energies are arising when you perceive you can't comprehend what's being shared in the group. And I would just want to let you know that it's an energy game here. It's the mind. Where we're going is beyond understanding of this mind. And you get to laugh when something comes up and you can't perceive it, or that it doesn't make sense to you yet, or maybe never. It doesn't matter. The fact is that, do you know what you're holding here? I will say is the energy. The energy you hold for this group is beyond any words. And because your mental mind, the aspect of you that is sitting in the mental field, wants to understand, that is only one aspect of you. Because you're a physical body, you're an emotional body, you're a mental body, you're a spiritual body. And all the other parts of you has it exactly intact, because here you are. And then you get to appease that mental part of you, say, oh, here I am feeling as though they're going to outgrow me. And then, oh my gosh, I can't keep up, and I'm not going to be a part of the group. All those things, that's a beautiful opportunity for process work.
Totally. I realized that. And I realized too, just as you were talking, I had a dear friend who was a psychotherapist, an oddball psychotherapist, who kept telling me she was very intuitive and that I had entities around me that she could remove. And did I want to have a session with her? And she charged for the sessions. And of course, I was happy to pay her if she was right about having entities. But I had no experience of having entities. And I felt in a way as if our relationship was being destroyed somehow. I couldn't feel the presence of entities. I didn't like to think I was that badly off that I would have dark forces around me, which I'm sure I do. I mean, I have a shadow. It's a huge shadow. I've always made it my business to trot that shadow right out and have a look at it. And so our friendship has gone away. There was no falling out. It just sort of wasn't sustainable anymore. And I think I'm triggering. Okay, work being done right now. Thanks.
It's awesome, because I see Joan just commented as well, because she said, I'm so glad Susan spoke. I have been feeling that also, like I can relate to much of the language. And oh my gosh, thank you for that. Everybody's mind is different, and we all process different. And I do have a very intellectual mind. So that this is an opportunity for me to it really, I know this now, it's about the energy. It's not the language so much.
I'd like to take a stab at translating the spiritual jargon of what Susan Bingham said. Oh, we met here. What was it, Susan? You said we met here in this place and you don't
Well,
remember
I
it?
was trying to quote something Susan said, the other Susan. No, we heard two Susans. So Susan
Yeah,
F said,
me. I think I know
about,
because I often say and energetically, so I have a for whatever reason I've been given a an opportunity to see things at a soul level.
And I was just going to
Yeah.
say that what she was saying was that we were all meeting either on an astral or a soul level or some other. So she didn't mean it in the usual way. And if you're not tuned into that spiritual jargon, I'll call that spiritual jargon too, then you're not connected with what she's saying. So I think also it's important for us to remember that these courses are going to be online for other people and that we need to be clear in our language and express ourselves in a way that a new person coming and listening to this course would be able to resonate with and not just, oh, I can't deal with this and turn it off and not go any farther.
Mhm.
yeah,
And
that's
We'll
I
keep our
have
language. We'll keep our language a little more grounded.
and I
So
have
it's a good
learned
warning.
I learned that when I first started working for a government agency and I went to my first meeting as a director and I came home to Jim and I said, "Hey Jim, I just learned how to speak in acronyms." So I started learning very early on the acronyms of a planning commission. And other people would look at me like, what are you talking about? So the same goes true with any spiritual conversations I want to have with my husband. I can't even mention the word the unconscious. I can't mention, I mean, something called the field would be like Japanese to him. So I have to speak from my heart on a human level with words that he understands. And I have learned that by communicating with him. So that's how I communicate with other people.
Can I ask a question though? This is so if everyone's a reflection of who we are, everyone we meet is reflecting ourselves, and we're wanting to raise the field to bring people into coherence to what's really going on. Why would we shift our consciousness to the standard that is sitting in the non-being mind?
I'm not shifting my consciousness. I'm shifting my language, expressing the exact same thing,
Yeah,
but without using jargon. I think it's important to you to understand
yeah,
that there is jargon everywhere.
yeah.
And when we're talking real, so I might say in this environment that
Hmm.
we're living in, rather than, so my message remains the same.
Yeah,
It's just using
the
words
language.
that are relatable.
So that, if I heard you correctly, that's a beautiful segue into what you were saying, or when we listened to the Heidi Schleifer's video, where she talks about building the bridge. So, or having the bridge going across to the other person's world. We're taking ourselves, going to the other person's world, and then so it will be relatable for them.
That was a beautiful thing that she said, and I completely got it
Yeah.
because I've lived there. I did that with my mom when she had dementia, and
Okay.
it
Thank you for
was,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, for
And
those
Andrea,
that haven't watched that video, it's a must watch with Heidi Schleifer and TED Talk.
maybe if you've got the link handy, you can go ahead and put it in the notes. And by the
Okay,
way,
I'll
if
see if I
everybody
can find
would, I put a link in for the 3 early memories exercise, which someday in the Healing Through Relationships workshop, the presentation, we'll get to whenever it unfolds. But if you might go in and just copy that um, section that I put in, so you've got it when we do get to the 3 early memories. And Andrea?
Yeah, I just wanted to offer a different perspective that when I joined this group, I didn't understand what was being talked about here, that a lot came up for me, and it was a really important opportunity for me to work through joining new groups, what comes up for me being seen, because I actually wasn't raised around any type of religious context. So a lot of the words here were very challenging for me. And I love how everybody brings their own expression to the group. It kind of reminds me of the Course in Miracles, where when I've taken the time to read it, it bypasses the ego mind, the way the language is organized. And the energetics has been really profound for me to expand my own ability to hear what people are saying, because I remain really open in kind of a confused state and language that I don't quite understand. So it's just another perspective to add to the conversation, that new language has given me value in keeping that openness and the curiosity, as long as I don't go into restriction and fear around, oh my God, I don't understand this, or at least having the ability to work through that if it comes up.
I think that's really important, Angela, and we have to use discernment. So it's like the difference between talking within a group of your peers or talking to your daughter or me talking to my husband. We need to use discernment in the language that we use. And when we are in a growth mindset like you are, then you're willing to sit through that confusion to come to a deeper understanding. I agree.
Good points, Gary.
And I just love what Terry Woods put into the chat. This is really, I think, nails it. What is our intention? Our expression or their understanding? Websites lose new followers in 7 seconds or less.
And I'm wondering, Michael, if you couldn't do an introduction to your courses about what people are going to be learning, and that one of the things they're going to be learning is a new language, a new way of expressing, because you're going to be learning new ways of doing things through your tools. So I'm wondering
Sure.
if that's something that you can't prepare people for, if you like, because the language that you use, you typically explain it very well from the Aramaic. However, giving people a heads up, I think, would be a good thing.
Cool. Well, I'll pay more attention in building those bridges. Thank you. Well, we're a few minutes over, but anybody have anything else to share? Any other thoughts? Well, much, much, much appreciation to everybody for today. Awesome. Holding space for everybody to have the best year yet of your eternal life. Thanks for being here. Blessings. Bye-bye.